People make fruit leathers out of beer? Because I want to like make a fruit leather with this one.
What's a fruit leather?
Homemade fruit roll-ups.
Oh.
Healthy, maybe.
How do you make it? Do you just bake juice until it's like
there's probably usually sugar
evaporated out?
Fruit, yeah. And a dehydrator.
We can, maybe you'll see that video coming up. For the 7th of 2023's 12 Beers of Christmas, a very special tasting notes on a Norwegian-style farmhouse beer that was brewed a few months back during a most epic brew day at Northern Brewer HQ. That day, visiting Norwegian brewers Ivar Geithung and Johnny Pedersen led the way on not one, not two, but 4 different traditional brews. I'm joined by my NB cohort, William Richartz, to taste 3 variants of one of those brews, a Voss-style hard-boiled Heimabrygg brewed with juniper and alderwood-infused water, and then fermented with the yet-to-be-registered Selland kveik culture, which comes directly from Ivar's own homestead. Chop and Brew's 12 Beers of Christmas video series is brought to you with support from Imperial Yeast and our Patreon party people. Join them on the nice list at patreon.com/chopandbrew. What's going on, everybody? 12 Beers of Christmas. I'm here with William in Northern Brewer, the way back throwback logo. Here, get out of the way real quick.
No, I'm going to show them the new one.
Oh, so we're here drinking 3 beers for the 12 Beers of Christmas. These are Norwegian farmhouse ales that we brewed as part of a big old fun event that we had in mid-September. Ivar, who you guys know from the show, Ivar Geithung and Johnny Pedersen, both came from the Voss area of Norway. They came to Northern Brewer, and it started small in the planning, and it blew up. You may or may not have seen the Northern Brewer video I've already put out. If not, I'm going to put it below so you can see the video of how this beer got to be. Let's just get into it. I'll tell you real quick what the beer even is. Skål, William.
Skål.
So we got 3 different versions from the same wort. This wort was brewed here, like I said, at HQ. 80% 6-row, 20% oat malt. It was mashed with a juniper and alderwood-infused water. We made that the night before. We boiled juniper and alderwood that Ivar and Johnny brought from Norway. So true juniper of Norway, which is different than the common juniper here. It mashed the second day when we came in to do this. We mashed it at 160 for 3 hours. We're talking 60 pounds of grain total on the St. Paul Homebrewers Club. Massive big brew system. Mashed for 160. We first wort hopped with some low alpha Hallertau. Then we took it out. It's really cool how they mash this. They mash it in like little, basically like a staggered mash, 1 mash at a time. Small kettle, mash that, add it to the bigger one. That's how they do it traditionally over there, so we tried to mimic it as much as well as possible over here. We ran off, we took it outside and boiled it in a large copper kettle you see here that Ivar and Johnny had shipped over from Norway and still lives here now. Boiled for 2.5 hours. We got a wort of 1093, cooled that to 108 Fahrenheit, and Ivar had made this kind of same day yeast starter that he does when he takes the first runnings, which were like 11-13 or something like that, puts the kveik flakes in it, then just kind of walks around all day while he was telling people what to do, shaking his same day starter. So pitch those into this. Again, that brew day video, check that out below. We're also going to do tasting event notes that we shot in mid-October with the brewers who took wort home from this event. We're going to put that out after New Year, but William is going to help me taste. These are now 3 months old.
Someone has to help.
3 months old. Same wort, same yeast, but 3 very different beers. And I don't know how to explain it. I know which one I like the most. So OG 1093. These finished at a variety of numbers from 1011 to 1013, but nothing like way
pretty close.
Yeah, so they're all about 10 and a half, 11%.
I did not notice that they were 10% from drinking them. That was not my like first
okay
thought. Oftentimes when it's 10%, you're like, okay, I can taste it.
I feel like these indigenous kveiks do, even some that we get here, the isolates, but I feel like the true indigenous ones do ferment really high alcohol if that's what you feed it wort to do, and it seems to be very innocent.
Yes, yeah.
Very early on, like even when I did the Black is Beautiful with the Journes flakes, drinkable in like a week and a half.
Yeah. Nice.
Dangerously
Jesus
drinkable.
Christ. Yeah,
so I kind of lined them up because 2 of them got a little more acidic. So I started with Dave Bance's cleanest. He pitched flakes, or we pitched the slurry at 108. He fermented at 100 degrees for 48 hours, then let it free drop. He said he cooled it down to cellar temps for the Opskaka that we had 3 days later. We did gather all the people who brewed 3 days after. So Saturday we gathered, Tuesday we're drinking like live ales, still fermenting.
I was impressed that you were able to corral everybody so well.
Dave's, I just get almost like this golden barley wine.
Yeah.
Kind of like some Belgian triple minus the esters and stuff, but it's got that malt bomb.
Yep, and that, to me, there's an orange character you get a lot of times in English beers.
What about the influence of the juniper and the alderwood?
I got that. I didn't notice that first, but sip 2 or 3, all of a sudden I could get that the juniper more. It's almost like a nice tea-like finish, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, at the event, as we pointed out in the Northern Brewer video, Ivar was taking cupfuls of the infused water and just letting people taste it. He was calling it forest tea.
Yeah.
Have some forest tea.
You gave me some, I think, beforehand, and I said it just needs some lemon all of a sudden. And then it'd be like an iced tea or a warm tea or a sun tea or something. It was really delicious.
To your point, like, it doesn't taste hot.
No.
You can kind of taste that it's big and its sweetness, and maybe even this like oily, thin. It's not watery, but this like kind of like it's almost got legs in your mouth.
Yeah, and the sweetness to me is just probably a lack of bitterness that we're used to in more American IPAs or just American style to balance that, because it's not off-putting sweet or cloying sweet or off-balance sweet or anything, in my opinion. Probably helps with that deception that it being this one especially being the highest at 10.7. That's crazy. It's super drinkable. I need this for Christmas so I can put up with my relatives.
That is a good. That's why I was kind of like, well, I want to do this as a 12 beers of Christmas just because they need to get drank.
Yeah.
We can't put these on tap here at Northern Brewer Tap Room because we have kind of like a ABV threshold that these obliterate. So, A, I would have done it anyway, but B, I was like, oh yeah, the juniper, a couple of the other beers at Christmas we're going to do are spruce tip beers. So I was like, oh hey, we've got kind of some botany, some foraging happening here.
I was just going to say the tannins from that tea though also do help dry it out in the back end. I don't think I was noticing that at first.
So when you go to Ross's, fermented at 105 Fahrenheit for 2 days, then free fall. His own notes are clean, slightly acidic, still has a distinctive Selland, which is the name of the kveik, because that's where Ivar's farmstead is. Red berries note. Ross has brewed with this kveik several times, so I think he knows kind of a through line that it's had through a few different beers.
Tasting one of the original ones with you a while ago, I remember it being a little bit more distinct orange and cherry, and this one blurs the line for my palate at least, and it's to your point, he knows it better, so to me it's an orange and almost like a cherry, kind of like an old-fashioned can have that flavor profile.
Yeah.
All of these kind of remind me of an old-fashioned in flavor profile, especially when the smoke kicks up a little bit, because I like a smoked whiskey in my old-fashions.
Yeah, y'all probably know if you've seen our videos before. If not, Ivar's actual brews that he does in his farmhouse in Norway are made over a fire that's inside of a fireplace, like in a hearth. So it actually picks up a fair bit of smoke, not smoked malt, but just from that kind of swirling and churning of this hard-boiled wort for hours on end. Versus here, obviously the Solo Stove's whole selling point is that it doesn't make smoke that much, but I think we were still getting it. We're also getting like super caramelized sugars in that copper kettle.
I think across the board in all of them, you get that carameling character. For me, it highlights the orange character in all of them, and then more so in Ross, and we haven't talked about yours yet, but I get that cherry, almost maraschino cherry flavor, but not super sweet or candied like that. It's just kind of reminiscent of that, and I think it just goes back to I drink a lot of old fashions.
Noticeably more acidic, but I wouldn't say like on par with like even a kettle sour beer, let alone a much more sour beer.
No, this is, I would say tart, maybe.
Okay. Now you get to mine, and I feel like that acidity is higher. I pitched at 108F and then put it in the fermentorium here at Northern Brewer and just let it drop. Like it probably held its own maybe overnight in the hundreds, but pretty quickly like came in the next day and it was in the 90s. The next day it was in the 80s.
Sure.
I hadn't had Ross's in a while, so it's interesting to have it in between the two that I have had. I feel like mine is kind of Ross-like, but carbonated.
Yeah.
I feel like there's something more malty and like almost like salty happening, like saltini.
Oh, I felt like I got more of the wood or juniper in yours than in his off the bat too, so I don't know if that's kind of playing in with everything. I think I can see what you're saying about that almost salinity or salty character to it.
I have no explanation why Dave's in my descriptors I would just call it clean versus the other two. As far as the acidity, as far as whatever level of tartness there is or isn't. I just feel like these two are closer, so I don't know.
Yeah, your Ross and yours are a little bit, yeah, there is that tart factor, which is not bad at all.
No.
I enjoy it in all of them, or in the two that have it.
But Dave's is my favorite. As a person who loves a barley wine, or, I mean, this is almost like, kind of like an herbal Maibach, like a forage-infused Maibach in my mind. It is so...
I started with Dave's as my favorite, but then,
buddy,
I think you're starting to creep up, but I do like sour beers a little bit more than most beers. So that tartness is drawing me back to it more often.
I think the tartness might actually help slow down your drinking, maybe even. Whereas this, you could kind of find yourself like, oh, bam, bam, bam.
Actually,
they could kind of put the brakes on because it's more, it's
candy orange with that tartness. I'm just picking up on that.
Also, thanks to Ivar, he brought me this awesome sweater. This is like traditional Norwegian fisherman.
There's a flag over here.
Kind of print.
Proves
look at that. Bam! He brought me this. This is apparently, you can find modern versions of it, but I've been led to believe they're not made with the same craftsmanship.
I would believe
something like this is old, vintage. You have to find it kind of secondhand. It's got like, it's been lovingly hemmed, or what do you call it?
Stitched.
What do you call it when you repair something?
Oh.
Mom, I need you to, whatever. Can't think of the word.
Fix.
I mean, that's the easiest word. I was looking for a more technical sewing term when people do this. Put that in the comments below. Thought I would wear this out of tribute and respect as a nod. This is a 15-minute 12 beer of Christmas. Well, we had 3 beers though.
Yeah, and they're 10%.
We had a lot to talk about.
Yep. And you didn't even show them the Norwegian underwear that he gave you.
Did I show you those?
No, I just made
I
that up.
do. They bought me boxers. I wore, the only time I've worn them thus far was on that whole day.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, I just wanted to share this and point anybody who sees it back to the original Brew Day video, because it was quite an experience to have Ivar and Johnny come here, oversee. I mean, we didn't just do this brew that got doled out into 4 brews. We did a smoked raw ale, which is another 12 beer of Christmas that you either have or haven't seen yet. There was some
if they had seen it, I wasn't lucky enough to try it.
Yeah, there's one here. We'll have that. We'll have one here. But then there was also like 2 other raw ales, and one of them was a boiled mash. So we just learned so many techniques that you as a modern home brewer are told like you don't do. We didn't mill this.
Oh, that's right.
This beer, the malt was milled, but every other beer was cold steeped overnight, whole malt, then hot mash the next day. So I won't repeat that over and over again. Go check out the full video, and then look out for the tasting notes where the brewers themselves of these beers, or the fermenters themselves of these beers. Well, they brewed it too. Taste them a month later. But yeah, this will probably be the most well-aged version of tasting these beers that you're gonna see on the internet. So, Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas, William.
Merry Christmas, Chip.